Good evening, everybody. Can anybody hear me?
Good evening, Rookie. Good evening, everyone.
Awesome. How are we doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's been a great day. I have a weekend here, so who's not happy about weekends?
Yeah, who isn't? Hi, Emeka. Hi, Mary. You can unmute your mics if you want to, or you can just use the chat.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. The time. Good
Hello,
evening.
hello, Mika. How's it going? Good evening.
Good evening.
Nice to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
So we're just going to wait for about, let's just give everyone 3 minutes to join in, and then we would kick off. Hi, Jude. Thank you for joining.
Hello, Jude. Thank you for joining. How are you doing?
Hi everybody, I'm doing great.
Nice. I hope you didn't travel back with Diego.
No, I did not. I did not.
Yeah, I got notification that he's landed, so that's good.
Yeah.
Good evening. Okay, I think we have a lot of people here. Okay,
I can't hear
everybody.
anything. Oh, can we hear? Ruki's talking, but I can't hear her.
Maybe you have to leave and join again.
You can just drop a message for her in chat so that she can understand. I think she can't hear us. That is more like her complaint.
Okay. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Ruki, and I am a training coordinator at De9mics Consults. And today we are having a wonderful friend of mine, someone I actually look up to in the Power Platform field. His name is Chetam Okafor, and he's a Microsoft certified trainer. He's a, I think he also develops too. So like he is very, very, very broad-minded in the development field, not just for Power Platform, not just Power Apps. He also builds applications on a normal day for him. Okay, so Chetam, are you ready to go?
Yes, thank you very much, Ruki. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you everyone for joining. Some of you may already know me, and some of you may not already know. For some of us who already know me, some know me more better than the other, and it's such a great pleasure having all of you. Once again, good evening. And just like Ruki said, my name is Chetam. I'm Chetam Okafor, and I am a Power Platform developer. Please let me know if you can see my screen. I just want to show my face a little bit. So I'm a Power Platform developer, and apart from developing the Power Platform environment, I also develop web and mobile applications with various programming language. My major being C#, PHP, Laravel, of course, Node. Who doesn't love Node? All right, so that's a bit about me. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer, and today we are going to be discussing introduction to Power Apps. Basically, the introduction is technically going to be said to be practical introduction to Power Apps, because while we call it introduction, I'm going to be showing you the practical steps to understanding how the Power Apps works and how it can be used to build business applications. And in our various organizations today, Power Apps seems to be one of the dominating platform that organization leverage to build both app processes, business application, and is sometimes also helps to automate build business workflows with the help of the Power Automate and sometimes the SharePoint list. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, but before I proceed with sharing my screen, I don't know, Rookie, do we have a moment for introductions or should I go ahead?
Oh no, you can go ahead.
Okay. I was also notified that this training session is going to last for 1 hour. I can tell you frankly, 1 hour is not enough for us to cover a lot, but I am going to cover as much as possible for us to at least understand some basic concepts in building Canvas application. So please let me know when you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Please feel free to let me know. You can just give a thumbs up. You can drop a chat. I saw someone Temidayo typing on the chat before. I don't know if she was able to see anything. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Rookie. Thank you, Jude. That's great. Wonderful. All right. So the platform we have presented on our screen is the Power Platform environment, or the Power Apps Studio. Okay, I will say apps module of the Power Apps, because now if I call it the Power Apps Studio, I'm going to introduce it to the Power Apps Studio, and it's different than what we are saying. So this is more like the landing page when you visit the Power Apps. For you to visit the Power Apps, all you have to do is type make.powerapps.com, and then you are good to go. If you come into this place, at the top here is the name of your application, which is Power Apps. Here we have a workflow that helps you navigate to the other various parts of the Microsoft application. For example, we have Power Automate here. We have the admin, Power Apps, Dynamics 365 etc. There are a couple of others that are not here, and why you're not seeing them here is either because some of their licenses has expired, and for us, some of us who are used to that, we already understand that some of the things that doesn't show here either because they are not listed to show here, or that the licenses has expired. Now let's navigate away from there. I'm going to show you a little bit about the right part where you have environment. You can click here to select different environments available. So if you're in an organization and then you go to make.powerapps.com to maybe start creating an application or maybe do whatever you want to do there, you would notice this environment at the top. And when you click it, the environments that you have access to would be displayed here. If the environment doesn't display here, you do not have access to them, or the environment, you have not been added into that environment. Okay. Now, about discussing environment, how users are being added, and maybe some of the things that we can think of or know about environments is something that we have to talk for another day. So I'm going to quickly go away from here. So first, I just want to do a little bit of in the introduction of what we see. What we see here is more like the new look or the new landing page of the make.powerapps.com. It doesn't used to be like this. I mean, for some of us who already know this environment, tomorrow this could change. Now, this is making you preparing your mind to adapt to the changes that may occur in the Power Platform environment, because Microsoft does a lot of changes frequently, and these changes sometimes comes in months, in between at the interval of months, quarters, biannually. Some of them come annually. So you can always come here and maybe see that something has changed. Just take note that this is how it is. Without wasting a lot of time, I would have loved to discuss all of this, but then let's go straight to Power Apps, and then maybe on a later time we can come back and talk about every other aspect of this area. When you come here, you want to create your application. You have two options to go there. You can use the create. If I click here, it's going to take me to where I need to select options. So you can either select a blank app, or you can decide to create from a data source. So creating from a data source means you either choose a Dataverse or SharePoint, SQL, Excel, or you can use a different source, which is more like an external something. That is, this time around, we're talking about designing a UI. You can use image. You can also use Figma. For us, some of us who already know what Figma, okay, yes, I can have it there. If you have a Figma template, you can select here, and you are able to create your application based on the look you already have in the design, in your Figma design. Okay, there are a lot of other things that we can see here, like the template applications you can select from to start building your application. So we are not going to go a lot deeper into that, but we are going to start creating a blank app. I'm not going to click here to create a blank app. I'm going to also show you another way to launch this, another way we can initiate this, and that is by coming to the app module. If you click on the app module here, you can see the list of your applications, all the applications that you have created. Okay, for you to create a new application, you can select the new app. If you already have an application that you want to import, you can click on the import Canvas application. Apart from importing a Canvas app from here, you have another means of importing a Canvas app. I will show you that later as we proceed. Now, if you want to open an existing app or maybe modify an existing app, all you have to do is hover. These edit icons can allow you to edit this. This other icon allows you to play your application. And if you select this option, you have a whole lot of other options come out here at the top that you can select to be able to perform different actions, like export the copy of this app, wrap this app to be a native application that you can use on your mobile phone, see the details of the application. There are a couple of other things that you can do. Now, we're not going to go into this. And please, I'd like to say, if I am first and then you're not catching up with me, please call my attention. I'm going to slow down. And if I'm too slow and it's not really good for you, of course, please let me know. I'm going to increase my pace a little bit. Naturally a little bit fast paced. So Just let me know if I am overspeeding. Thank you very much. So coming back, we are going to create a new app. Now, if you click on new, for some of us who are used to creating application, you will see that some things changed here. You want to start creating an application with Copilot, you have to select here. So Copilot will have to tell Copilot what you want to design, and the Copilot will help you create your application from blank. If you want to connect directly to a Dataverse, you can start with your app with data. If you start your app with data, you have to select a Dataverse, and with the shape or the schema of the data source table. This time it's no longer just Dataverse, but could be SharePoint list, it could be SQL, it could be anything. So the schema of the data base that you selected will determine how your application would be automatically created. We have this third option, which is my favorite, start with a page design. This is more like starting your application from scratch, but you have a couple of other options to select. And last of it all is starting an application with a template. And I showed you a couple of templates that you can select from. So the moment you click here, you will see the list of all those templates available so that you can select any of them. I'm going to click start with a page design so that we'll be able to come to these points here. I can select this one to connect directly to a Dataverse table, or I can select this one to create application that connects to external data, either SharePoint, Excel, or SQL on premises. Okay. Here we can create this. This option tells you that this is a model-driven application. This option tells you that this is a model-driven application. This one, you can use this to import an application from a Figma design, and this is a responsive template that you can use to create responsive application that can fit into mobile device as well as your desktop or tablet devices. And this is a model-driven dashboard. So I am going to scroll all the way up, and I like to create a blank canvas app. I'm going to select this, and then I'll allow it to load. When it opens, we are going to see what the studio looks like. Now, while it's loading, Canvas app is not the only application available. We have the model-driven application, which is also a part of Power Apps. Model-driven application is more like an application that gives you a view like an admin. It's more like it can be likened to be an admin view, but it performs a lot of functions and does not also allow you to do a lot of customization that you can do in Canvas app. Now, that is one of the major differences between the Canvas application and the model-driven application. The model-driven application, it can connect directly to your Dataverse table, and the table available is more like the only source you have to your model-driven application. It doesn't mean you cannot leverage other data or other connections or other data sources. Of course, you can create visual tables that you can also use, import data into your application, and so leverage them and build your model-driven application. But if you want to do customizations, if you want to have a beautiful design, you want to make your application look like a very beautiful website, you can go with Canvas application. However, Canvas application has its own limitation. Okay, compared to model-driven application, there are some things you can do in Canvas app that you can do in model-driven application, but the amount of data that can be retrieved in model-driven application is quite different from the amount of data that can be retrieved in Canvas application. Here is the Power Apps Studio. At the top here, we have the toolbar. If I make this a little bit, I don't know, please, if this is too small, let me know. If it's okay, that would be really fantastic. So here we have the toolbar. We have the undo, and then we have the redo as well, hidden inside this chevron icon. We have the paste, and we have some other options that could be here, like copy and cut. We have the insert. Here we have all the controls that is available that is available and usable in the Canvas application. Okay, if you have a model view, it will be a little bit different. I'm using the classic or old view, not classic anyway, but just like old view, but it can be referred to as the classic view for now, because now the modern view is quite different from this. We have add data. Here you can add your data tables, mostly a Dataverse or any other connection that is available. You can create screen with this command. You can select a theme. Now, if you want to have your application look particularly in a way, and you don't want to have it, maybe you just have a typical design of what you want. Okay, you can select a theme that will help you shape the color of your applications in terms of what the controls would look like, etc. You want to select a background color, for example, I can select this blue and you see how it changes the background color. I don't want this, I just want a white to be there, but you can see what it does, right? You can also select custom color from here. You can, if you know your color code, you can always write your hex here, or you can write your RGBA here, okay? Or you can also use the palette to select the different colors that you want. Now I'm not going to do that. Opacity should be 100 to 100. That is 100. Okay, don't worry. I think we're gonna fix this since I'm not selecting anyone. And here, I mentioned that I was going to show you another way that you can import your application. For example, if you have a copy application shared with you as an MSAP application, you can select this option, click on the open, click on the browse, and then it will open your computer. From here, you can also select your application. But I don't have an application to import, so I'm going to go back. Right. This signifies that you are editing your application, and this option allows you to share your application to other users right from this point. Here is the Power Apps checker that helps you analyze error on during development time. Okay, this is always on, checks for errors and helps you tell you where the error is so that you'll be able to go and correct it quickly. And then you have an option to make comments within your application, and this option allows you to preview your application during development. Whenever you feel like saving, you hit the save button. And if you want to publish your application for others to view, you have to select this. You have to use this option to select to publish. And then if you want to save with a version note, that means you have to put a note to say, okay, this is what I have done in a particular version. You have to select this option. And then you can save a copy of the application using the save as, or you can download a copy. Sorry, I was fast at that. I just wanted to just get off those to make you understand what we are going to be dealing with. And I know that we are running out of time as well, but please sit back and relax, and we are going to do something. Okay, we have the screens here, and then we have other things like a component. Components are something we're going to be discussing in-depthly on another class. Today, we're not going to be able to cover components. Components is just a very big part of the Canvas application. And it's very interesting because they help us build reusable components that we can use all through the areas of our application without having to create them over and over again. At the right part of this tab, we have the property tab, we have the advanced tab, we have the ideas tab. I'm going to show you what these things are going to be doing by the time we continue building this application. And at the left tab here, we have where we see the list of our screen. And then we have also the component controls, and the here is the layer that's we call it in Canvas app the tree view, but it's the layers. Okay, the layers are going to be displayed here, and then this is more like the insert that we have here, and this is where you can see all the list of your data source, the ones that you've added to your application. Now you have, if you have medias, or if you want to add medias, you can use here to add medias. You can use the upload button, and then if you want to put a Power Automate or maybe connect to a flow, you can use the flow pen here. You can see the list of all the variables that you've created under here, and then you can use this one to test or monitor your application in case you want to run some unit tests and then be able to test that there is no penetration, or maybe there is no form of errors or delays that might that your application might cause when you deploy them in production. And then if you want to search globally in your application, you can always come here, search globally within the application, and then you get the result. Now let's go back and then we have the first screen. You can always rename this screen by double clicking it. When you double click that, you can decide to call it a home screen. It mustn't be capital letter. You can also make it small letter. Okay. And I don't know what I'm gonna build, but I probably most likely gonna build what we have here. I don't know. Can anybody make a suggestion what we can build? Let us use that as maybe our case study today. Suggestions is gonna be beautiful, please. Just anything is fine. Just call it anything. No matter how sophisticated it is, just say it.
I'd like to suggest a restaurant ordering app, if that's easy.
Rest,
Just a simple.
restaurant
Yes.
ordering
Good day,
application.
everyone.
Please, I didn't get your name. Thank you. I know you have a meeting guest.
Apologies. So sorry. Good day, everyone. My name is Jennifer. I'd like to suggest that we build something that can order. It could be a restaurant ordering app. It could be like a dictionary or a book ordering platform. Just something that can order. Thank you very much, everyone.
Restaurant ordering application. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much for that. We are going to build food ordering something. So given that, I can't see my note. I don't know why, but maybe Rookie, you can see my notes. So if you have other users or other members of this call today who've dropped notes, if it's something that you can call to my attention, please let me know. Now, when you decide you want to build an application, first thing you need to understand or gather is the user story. What is the user story? What would the application do? Now, the user story is what you want the application to do. Before you talk about the application, what is the process like manually?
Contribution. We'll get money.
Andrew, thank you very much, please. I think you okay. So when you get the user story, you will also gather other information that will help you shape what your application would look like. Now, we don't have a lot of time to gather or to collect the user story, but I'm going to tell you a user story is something that could be simple. Let's say you have a store, you cook different types of food, and then you want people to come into your application, see the list of foods that you have, and then select the one they want and order for it, or maybe make payment on the app, or maybe cash at delivery. Okay. First is we're gonna be leveraging SharePoint to be able to create SharePoint list to be able to create this. So first thing you have to think about is a table that will hold your data. What tables do you require? And I'm going to be adding this table one after the other so that we'll be able to get all these things sorted. I need your input right now, because what we need to do requires your input, because now this is your suggestion, and with your suggestion we're going to make this a great application. I'm going to go to my SharePoint list. My SharePoint is more like my tenant name.sharepoint.com. I have it open here. If you are in your Power Apps and then you click here, you can always select SharePoint, always displayed here. I don't have mine displayed here, that's why I didn't navigate directly from here. But I can come here and then select the new, and then I create my list. One of the tables that we'll be thinking of is food, right? Because that's a restaurant ordering application. We need food table. So when we build a food table, we need I'm not sure we need a user table, but we may need a user table. And then we're going to talk about relationship that is involved in this application. And this is not the time of this training is not enough for us to talk about the scoping of relationship, how the tables are going to be ordered or maybe positioned in order to maybe talk to each other or all that. So we are going to skip anything that has to do with data modeling. And then we only concentrate on let us see the functionality of the Canvas application. On a later time, if we have a lot of time, we're going to discuss that. So let's say food table. Okay, and then I'm going to create this. Food table is going to give us the food name. One moment. Okay, food table is gonna give me the food name, which is the title. I'm going to say the price. The price is going to be a number. I can also make it in text now, depending on how you want it. If you're able to convert this to number or text in your application. Okay, I'm gonna use text, and I show you how to convert this text as number. So you don't have to always put number because it is called a number field or something. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna say test, and then I'll call this amount. Now we have food name and we have amount. Okay. Then I will select. If you notice, we have a type, and this type is where we can choose if it's a single line of text, multiple line, apart from the initial one that we saw. But we are going for single line of text, and then I'm going to click on save. We've had the previous class where we had one of our trainers discuss about SharePoint list. If you were in that training, that would be a really bonus for you to understand what we are doing here today by creating a list. If you weren't in that training, maybe in a future time, we'll have another training that will also explain more about SharePoint list and how you can design your SharePoint list to be able to do whatever you want. So food table holds the price, holds the another thing we're gonna be holding is because now it's going to be a food inventory, right? So how many plates is available? So you put available plates. Please, I need your ideas here now, because now this is more like off the sketch. We're just building an application out scratch without modeling how it's going to be. Okay, I need a food name. I need the amount. I need okay. I didn't complete this name. Just one moment, please. Okay. Available quantity, yes. Quantity. What else we're gonna need? We have price, that's the amount we're gonna sell it. Available quantity. You can think of anything, just let me know. And while we are thinking of that, I will switch back to my application, and I'm going to bring this the list we have into our app so that we see how we can utilize it. If I click on data source, and then I can use either add data or I can use add data, either of them will give me what I want. I'm going to search for SharePoint. And then if you look here, you will see that when you search for SharePoint, you have SharePoint site here. This is the dataverse table. Please, do not use this. Use the one that has SharePoint, because that says SharePoint helps organize etc. And the symbol is going to be SharePoint symbol. And when you select it, you will see the information telling you that this is a SharePoint connection. If you select this, it's going to tell you that this is a SharePoint site and it's a table with dataverse connection. Okay, so we're going to select this, and then you select a connection. Now, if you don't have a connection, it will ask you to create a connection for the first time. Once you create a connection, that connection will be there. Anytime you want to build your application, it will allow you to select the connection. I'm going to select my SharePoint site. Remember, when I was building this, I created it under development site, and now I have to select the site is development. I have a couple of other sites that I can use here, but since we have our list in development, that's where I'm gonna go. So the name of our list is food, some food table, right? I'm going to select it and then I'm going to connect. Now that we've connected our table, remember we have not given our application a name. We can give our application a name during the time of saving, or we can click on this setting and also we can give it a name here. So we can call it today. Okay, today is 2023 11 18 meaning we can call it food app, right? Food app. And that's it. I don't need to click a save button or anything. I just close this and you can see that the name appears here at the top. All right, and then I can click on save too, and it will be saved in my environment. Okay, now that we have our connections or connection associated with the table, the next thing I'm going to do is decide what would my view be. First of all, you're going to ask again a question. The users that are going to use this application, would they be using a mobile phone or are they going to be using their computer? And then when you talked about food ordering, you would automatically think about users having a mobile device. So in that case, it would be really better for us to switch our application to a mobile view instead of having a tablet view. And for us to do that, all you have to do is click on the settings, the ellipsis here. Now, sometimes these settings can also be available. So you can see, depending on the size of your screen, you will see it here. And depending on the size of your screen, it will not be available. It will be hidden. Okay, so I'm going to click on the settings. And all I have to do is change the orientation. To change the orientation, I have to select the display and then change the orientation from landscape to portrait. And then I click and apply. You will see that the orientation of my application would now change to a mobile-like display. And for me to start working on the application, I can start inserting things like the headers, etc. So I'm going to start with a header. For me to put a header, I can use a text label or I can use a rectangle. Now, to not put a lot of controls in the application, let us use the text header. And then we can place a text header at the top of the application and then let it cover here. And we put it, we specify that our text goes to the middle. So remember, when I talked about the properties during the introduction, I said we have a property that I'll have to explain a little bit more about. We have the advanced option, advanced properties that I'll have to explain a little bit more about, and the ideas. Now I'm going to start from the ideas. Ideas is more like the ideas that you have in your application. You can come back here and then share feedback or maybe drop any information that will help you gather ideas in terms of how you create your application, and then you click on the get ideas and then you get some more information about that. That's all. Okay, now advanced shows you all the properties of the selected control. Now in this case, we have the test label selected, and advanced shows you all the properties. Now this is the properties. Well, the properties we have here is a user interactive property, and the properties displayed here are not all the properties available. There are some more properties that you may not see here. But by the time you go to advanced, you will see the advanced properties. It's more like when you go to a browser to do a settings, and then you have the settings, that's the basic settings, and then you have the advanced settings. They are all settings, right? But then there is the advanced. It's more like hidden. That is how it is here. So we have the properties and we have the advanced properties. And the advanced properties is more like you have to do, you have to really understand what you're putting there in terms of the test or the numbering or the true or the false, etc. But for the properties user interface that is friendly, all you have to do is select based on what is available. Right now, we want to put a background to this, and we could say the background should be blue, and then our text should look not blue but maybe white, and then we can call it white here. We would increase the font 25, and then we'll make it bold. If it's not good enough, we can change it. Now you can come inside test and put the test of your application, or you can click test here to display the test inside this place, or you can also come here and select test to display inside this place. Now I used these little words because I don't want to confuse what we are saying. I'm going to come back to explain that. Here, this drop down that I just selected is the control properties. When I say this, the same information I have here, or the same information I have here, is what I have inside here for the selected property. Okay. Haruna, please go ahead. You have a question or suggestion, please. Harun? Harun, your hand is up. Okay, I can hear you, Harun. So maybe I'll continue. Please, can we all hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you.
Okay, Harun, if you have anything, drop it on the chat. Ruki, you can see the charts, right?
Yes, I can. I'll draw your attention
Okay.
if there's any question.
All right, Harun, please drop it in the chat because I couldn't hear you. I don't know if anybody did hear you when you wanted to say something. Okay, so back to what we were discussing. I'm going to select this, double click it, and then I'm going to call this food ordering app, right? Food ordering. I'm just going to call it food ordering without them. Okay. Oh, now we're not talking about food ordering, but we're talking about foods, right? Food inventory. Now, this is food inventory, not food ordering. We're going to go to the ordering part of it later. Okay, so here you want to first of all be able to add foods to your inventory to say, okay, these are the foods we have available, right? And then when you have the foods, the next thing you want to do is be able to display the amount of foods that you have available. For you to be able to create new foods and then add them, what you have to do is insert a form. So if you click on the insert here, you select a form, an edit form, and then insert it in the application. And you can drag it down or maybe shape it to fit the screen or whatever you want it to be like, and then start implementing or adding whatever you want to add. Now, for me to make connections to this form, what I have to do is connect this form to the SharePoint list that we added earlier. For me to do that, I will come to data source in the property of the selected control. Now, the selected control is the form. And inside the property or on the property, I will select this property data source option, and then I'll have the list of data sources available. Now, inside my app, I have only food table. Outside my app, I have other tables that I can also select, or I can make a new connection by coming here to select my connection. But since I already have this connection inside my app, all I have to do is go to the in your app, select the food table. Now, this is going to automatically populate the columns available so that I don't have to manually add them. I want to show you something. So I'm going to, can I remove this? Yes, I can remove this. I'm going to remove this. Of course, it's definitely going to be a problem, right? Good. Let me slide it back. Yeah, replace it. Okay, I wanted to be able to say, let me delete it. I'll show you something again in a different way. So let me say I'm going to insert this and then I put it up here. I bring it down so to look good. And in here, I can simply type food and it will help me bring the food table. Now, see the difference. It will not populate anything here, but it is the data source. Now that it doesn't populate anything here, I can manually go to the fields and edit fields and also add the columns. But I don't want to do this. If I don't want to do this, all I have to do is remove this, come to this option and select table, and then it will automatically populate it for me. Now, this is different ways that you can add your controls. Okay. If we need the picture of or an attachment of the food, we can use this, but we don't need an attachment. What we most likely would need is a picture. So for us to do that, we are going to come back to our application, add another column, and then we can select an image. And then we go to next, and then we select food image, right? We call it food image, and then we save. Remember that we don't have this when we added this table, so they will not appear here. For us to make them appear here, we have to go to data, our data, select the ellipses beside the data source and click on refresh. Now that you click on refresh, all you have to do is select the form again, come to edit fields, click on add, and you can search for food image. One moment, let's be sure that we added our food image. Yes, food image. Okay, so we come here, we refresh here, and we add image. It is strange, I can't find it, but that most likely would come. In the meantime, I'm going to remove this, and to remove this, I would have to take it away from here. Please, if you want to delete an item from a form, please don't delete it by clicking here and then clicking a delete button, or maybe coming to this part and then deleting it here. If you delete it here, it will cause some error. I mean, the errors that it will cause is something that you can, of course, fix. But if you're not very familiar with how to manage the errors that will come, it will be easier for you to come here, select this option and click on remove, and there will be no error highlighted. Okay, let's save the copy of our application. I may have to reload this page to be able to bring back that image, but if that is going to cause take some time, I will have to skip it. Now we have title, amount, and available quantity. And as you're looking at this, this doesn't really look good. So for us to make it look better, you have columns. Select this column and change it to 1, and this will now look a little bit better. Okay, and the next thing we want is, excuse me, the next thing we want is to have a button to submit. Okay, so we can insert a button, or you can insert an icon. I usually like to insert an icon. With an icon, you can do that, and I'm going to call it look for check. So this is the icon I like to use. I'm going to place it to the far right of the title bar, and I'm going to change the color to white and to look a little bit nice. And I can save this if I want, but let me tell you one thing about saving. For every time you save, you create a new version of your application. If you don't want to create a lot of versions, make your modifications before you click the save button. Okay, if I want to show you the versions of applications available, I will come here and I will see app version. You will see now we have 3 versions because I have clicked on save 3 times. Let me show you something. If I click on save again, and I go to the app version, okay, not synced, it will come back very soon. Sometimes in the Power Platform, Power Apps, In fact, all Microsoft ecosystem, there is a sync time to everything so that you don't lose track of what you're doing, so that some of the things are positioned in the pipeline or in the background so that they'll be able to update without interrupting what you are doing. So if you don't get to see your effect instantly, do not panic. Just give it some time. It will definitely appear. Or another thing you can do is reload your browser. There is a hard refresh that I usually do, Control Shift R, do it a couple of times. That would help. Now, if you don't want to use your keyboard to do Control Shift R, there is another option that you can take. You can use the inspect by right clicking on your screen, click on the inspect. You have your beautiful developer tool come out here. You right click on your refresh icon and you will see hard refresh, or you can see empty cache and hard refresh. Please, I'm not going to do this right now. I'm going to close this. This is just an extra tip about how you can reload your browser in case you encounter any issues with caching. Now, coming back, I have inserted this button, and then the name of our form is form 2. I can decide to change this from form name, and then I will say add food, right? Okay. It's gonna be our form name, but I most likely will put it form at the end so that we'll always know that it is form. Excuse me. And here I'm going to come to the property that we call the onSelect. The onSelect is a property that does the onClick, the onClick like of event that we usually have in the JavaScript. So when you go to the onSelect, there are two ways or a couple of ways that we can submit this form. One of them is by using a simple command, which of course I'm going to use here, submit form. And then it requires the form name. I will have to pass the form name. Form name is add food. And you can see it suggests the form name for me, and all I have to do is select it. At this point, if I play this application or preview it, oh, okay. Now, we preview this application, we cannot see anything. I don't want to ask you if anyone knows why this happens, but then I'm guessing that some of us already know, but I'm going to say it anyway. Now, the reason we don't see anything is because our form is in either edit mode or the view mode, but not in the new mode. But we want to create a new item, so it won't work. So for us to make these changes and have this form appear in a new mode, we go to the default mode and then change this from edit to new. Nothing changed, right? But it actually changed. If you play this application now, you will see something. Now I'm going to show you another thing here. If I click on this button and select view, you will see that the look will change because it's now in a view mode. So I'm going to take it back to the new mode, and then I play this application, and then the name of our food would be amala. Who gave Tiago amala yesterday? Did anybody buy Tiago and the Susanna amala yesterday? Jude. Okay, let me pass. And the amount of the amala is going to be, would that be expensive? Okay, 2,500. And then the available quantity is maybe 10 plates. Okay. Haruna, I see your hands coming up again. Please go ahead and then have the microphone while we wait. So I'm going to click on save. And if Haruna starts speaking, I would pause. Haruna, please, could you go ahead? Harun, actually, sorry. I think I'm calling you Haruna instead of Harun. Okay, we can hear you, so we proceed. I'm going to click on the save. And when I click on save, this action has been saved. And I would come back here, and there is another thing. You see that when we saved, this disappeared, and then we don't see anything again. We can't create anything again, right? Now, this is something that you can control. Now, for you to control that inside the button, inside the onSelect button, you can do something like, first of all, close this form by using a semicolon. Now go to a new line or stay on the same line and say reset form. If you don't want to reset form, we can cancel this and say new form. Okay. Reset form clears everything that is in the form, reset it to the default. New form makes it a new form, and I'm going to add the form name and close it. So the next time we play this application, go ahead, Harun. I think you want to speak. Okay. The next time we want to, I'm going to do something, please. For me to get this back, I'm going to make these changes, view, and then new. Now I have it back. I now play this application, and then this time around, this is gonna be a Wedu, right? And the amount of a Wedu is gonna be 1,000 Naira, and the quantity of a Wedu we have available is 10. And if I click on save, you will see that I have the option back to be able to add another food item. Okay, I'm gonna go back here, and after adding this, I want to display the food that I've added. I can decide to create a new screen for it, but why not do it on the same screen since we have a lot of space, right? So we can have maybe this at the top, and then we have a lot of space and we can use it to display our food. Now I'm going to show you something cool when we do that, so that maybe that would be one of the tricks that we're going to learn today in terms of the little things that we did here. I'm going to insert a gallery. And in the gallery, I'm going to bring the gallery down below here. And then take it all the way up. Okay. And this gallery, I'm going to point it to the same data source, the food table, and it would automatically populate the foods we have. So we see we have Amala and the Wedu, and their prices are available. Okay, so you can do something like select that you don't want this to be like this. For example, you want to change the layout. I usually like to select blank. When I select blank, I can click here to edit and then insert what I want. Now, before I insert what I want, this is usually what I do. We have 3 items inside here. I'm going to select, first of all, okay, test label would help us for all of them. I'm going to use this to call it the title, and then I'm going to select the second one, and that one is going to be the price. Excuse me. And I'm going to select another one, and that one is going to be the quantity. Okay. There's something, okay, I think it's not yet there. So quantity, and then I will reshape or resize this so it will be nice. You can see that this is more a little bit of nicely, but not as nice as you probably would want it. You can do something else like highlighting this in a way that it will be nice, or you can select this, and then inside here, you can insert a rectangle. Okay, if you insert this rectangle, you can take it all the way to the right, and then maybe make it a little bit of 1 pixel. The height set it to 1. Excuse me. Right, that is it. So if you look here, you will see that you have a really nicely divided items. So they don't have to look like they are all the same. Now, another thing you want to do is maybe give a title outside here. Now, you see, when I was trying to insert some things, I selected this. Right now, I want to create the titles. I have to select outside, and I want to insert the test label. I bring it down to this point, and then I would maybe take the height here, and I'm gonna call it food. Okay, and the next one I'm going to insert would be still same test label yes, test label, and then this one I'm going to call it price. And then the next thing, I'm going to insert a title, and that title I'm gonna call it available quantity. Okay, so now we have these three. But what if I want to push this up? You see, we are going to have a problem, right? So, and then I'm going to be moving this one after the other. All I have to do is select this, hold down my control, select the price and select the quantity, and then I can do a group. Okay, right click and then group. Now they become one. I can call this my title group. Please, it's always good to label your stuff so that you'll be able to identify them whenever you want to use them. Excuse me. So I'm gonna call this my title group. Now, next thing I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna try to add another food so we can see how fast they can get added. Next, I'm going to put Gary, and then a plate of Gary should be like should be expensive now, right? Maybe 2,500 too. And then we have about 20 quantity available. And then when I click on the submit, you will see that we have Gary added on our list. Automatic. We don't have to refresh. We don't have to do anything special. It's just added. So the more you add, the more you have them on the list, just like that. Now I'm going to come back here and I do what I wanted to do initially. So here, this is where the manipulations in the Power Apps comes in. Okay, Michael, you have a question, please go ahead. Yes, Michael. You can unmute, I think you're muted.
Michael, you can unmute right now.
Okay, I think he's quite, you can just take your time if your questions, if your microphone is not unmuted or maybe you're struggling with it, you can drop a message on the chat. Rocky will help us with the information and then we'll provide you with an update on that, okay? Whatever questions you have, if you cannot unmute your microphone, please feel free to drop them on the chat and then you will get answers to that. So going forward again, I'm going to do something here. First of all, I'm going to say on the invisible of the screen, I'm going to do perform an action. I'll select the invisible, perform the action. Now, before I do anything, I'm going to explain to you what the invisible do. Invisible is a property of the screen, not of any other control, but the screen itself. So if you select a control, the invisible property is not going to display. But if I select the screen, you're going to see the invisible property along with other properties associated with the screen. Now, each of the control, like I mentioned from the beginning of this training, has its properties associated with them. Okay, right now I am selecting the screen, and in the invisible, I'm going to do an update contest. In some cases, I'd like to do set or create a variable, maybe like a global variable that I can use. But I'm going to create a variable using the update contest in this form. And for whatever you are trying to create, you will always get a suggestion. That's one beautiful thing about the Canvas application and the Power Apps environment. You always get that suggestion to help you, and you can expand your expression bar. So I mentioned something about, I didn't tell you the name of a particular thing when I was speaking. I just mentioned this area. Now, inside this place is called the formula bar. You can also call it the expression bar. It's where you write your codes. Now, we also know that Canvas application is a low-code platform that helps you do the drag and drop. Yes, I understand that, but it doesn't mean that you cannot write code. You can write codes in them. You can write your concepts. You can write your processes. As long as you understand the logic, you can always write whatever you want. Okay. So inside here, I'm going to create a simple variable that we're going to use to manipulate our controls. That's the gallery control and the form control that we have. I'm going to, okay. One moment. Okay, so I'm going to create here. So the moment you create it, you see that you have a contest available. So what is my contest? Okay. And again, apologies. I think we've exceeded the training a little bit over, and like I mentioned, what we're going to do is we're not going to cover in this training, but please give it some more moment. Let's take a little bit of time to complete this part so that we'll be able to understand some basic things about what I'm explaining about the concepts and the manipulations that we can do. Okay. So I have two controls, the form and the gallery. Now the form, I'm going to say view form, right? This is what I'm going to call it, view form. Now for me to understand what I'm doing, I can call this contest. So cont view, so that I know that I'm talking about a contest, and I put a colon, and I'm going to call the form, I'm going to say false, because I don't want to view my form when I open the screen. I only want to view the list of foods that I have, right? And then the next thing I want to do is also say view gallery. So I will say current view, that is going to be a small, I just want to make it consistent, view gallery. And then I'm going to say this is going to be true because I want to view my food gallery when I open the screen, and then I'll close this contest. All right. So first of all, this is home. And then second of all, I don't have another screen, but I just want to create something for the purpose of this. Before I create this, I'm going to double click on this, and you will see that we have this equal to false, and the data type is Boolean. But then, and if you click this, we have is true, and the data type is also Boolean, but then it is not updated. Okay, I'm going to copy this. I know I'm not using it where I'm going to, but I'm just going to copy this and create a simple screen. Just for test sake, I'm not doing anything with that, but I can delete that later. It's just for me to update this information. Okay, so now I have this updated, and I have this updated because I just moved to the screen and then come back. I have this updated. Excuse me. Now, what I'm going to do here is come to the visible part of this the gallery, the visible property of the gallery, and I'm going to set it to current. Remember, it's current view gallery, and it's going to be true. And this is now going to hide the moment I put this. I'm going to set the visible property of this to current view form. Definitely going to hide, right? And I'm going to do the same for here, and I'm going to call this current view form. Now you ask me, why am I hiding the submit button? Yes, I'm hiding the submit button because it's a part of the form, and if I don't hide it, it will be there. And then when you want to run your application, you will want to submit. What do you want to submit? Nothing. I mean, it's pointless keeping it available. Okay. Now that we've hidden this, I will also put this. I will also set the control of this. First of all, I have to make this bold so that it will be. But you see that because it's now group, I can just do everything collectively without having to do it individually. And then I'm going to come here and set this to current view gallery because now it is part of the gallery. And I'm going to take this up. Okay, yes. And then I'm going to drag this all the way up. And I'm going to insert another button. I'm going to call this art. And then I'll place it the same place. And I'm going to go to the unvisible property. Excuse me. Unvisible property. And I'm going to call this front view gallery to make it visible. And I would say the color should be white. If I play this up and then click on this, nothing happens. I mean, how do I add a form? Now, that is where it gets interesting. Okay, to do that, all I have to do is go to the unselect property of the add icon, which I can see here on the O, yes, here, or I can also go here, go to the advanced and then select it. I would put my update context. Remember, I have this update context. I'm going to change the form to true, and then change the gallery to false. Okay. And everything hides, but don't worry. Remember, we're talking about the first time you launch your application, everything is reset. So I'm going to go out and then come in, and you will see the effect of unvisible. So this is where the unvisible plays effect. You understand? It plays its role. The moment it's visible, all this happens. Now, the moment I play this app and click this button, the gallery will disappear and we expect the form to come up. So this is what happens. That is the magic that we wanted to talk about. It is simple, not deep, but all you have to do is understand the concept. How do you want to play it out? If I add a new item here, for example, I will add rice, and the plate of rice should be about 1,000 naira, and we have about 25 plates available, and I save. Nothing will happen. It will save, but we won't see the other screen. Okay, it will still be here, but we want it to be able to display the other screen the moment we save, right? So what do? We come back here in the button, in the unselect property. The moment we have executed the new form, we close this, go to a new line or stay on the same line and provide the update context and say hide form and show gallery. The moment we do this, play the app again, and then what are we going to add this time around? We're going to add pilau chicken, right? And then this is going to be like 5,000. And then the quantity is always big, but then let's make this 13. Excuse me. And then the moment I click on save, I see my gallery appear. And if I click on new, I have my form. You see how we manipulate that. It's just as simple as that. Another thing that you can do is, if I save this, it will save an empty data. You see that it saves an empty data, and you don't want this to happen in your application. You want to avoid this. How do you avoid this? There are a couple of ways to avoid this. First of all, I'm going to bring the form out. To avoid things like this to happen, you can select the form property. There are two ways. First of all is by unlocking this. You unlock it, and then you go to the required property and then change this to true. This is one way. I don't usually use this. I have a way. So if you change it to true, you see that you have an asterisk beside here. So if I play this app and click on submit, I would not create anything extra. But the form would now flag an error, because the reason it flags an error and I didn't see it is because I have already said, show me this. So the form flags an error. Now, how do you know that your form flagged an error when you submitted and then it went to show you the list of the gallery that you have? this is where you start putting conditions. How do you put your conditions? You say, if inside this part, okay? You can say if can I add the form? Just 1 minute. Let me see if I can use the form to call the error. Form dot. No, we don't have an error on the form. No, last. So it's not error. Let's see. Can we have an error? We don't have an error type. No, we don't have an error type. Okay. So we come back to this. Before we do this, let us complete some things. Now we take the name. You see the name here. We have what's that again? Data card value 9 and data card value 10 and data card value 11. So we take the name. This is one way to do this, and this is another way to also make the submit button be able to submit without having to cause any problem also. So I'm going to come back here, and then inside here, let me bring everything down. So I'm going to say if from above. And what I'm going to request for, if it's empty or if it is error, I will say is blank or error. Okay, excuse me. That's the control. Now, this control is many, not one, and then you have to manage all of them collectively. And for you to manage all of them collectively, you come back from the beginning. Now, please don't get confused. This is just a logic that you can always use in your day-to-day life, just like a conversational logic. Just that we are putting a code down, it is still simple. Okay. So what we have to do here is say, if any of these controls, any of these three controls, not one, but any of the controls throws an error or is empty, don't proceed, don't do anything. Just stop there and then let's correct the error. So I will say or. Then I put an open parenthesis, and I'm going to pick this since I already know the numbers for the rest. And here I'm going to put a comma, paste this, put a comma, paste this, and I will update the number here. This is 10, and the last one is 11. If it is not the correct number, it will flag an error. Just the way you see the error, the red arrow underlined. Okay, so I'm going to put this to update that, and then I will close the or logic. After closing the or logic, I would say notify, or maybe if any of this is blank, notify. So I'm going to say notify. Yes, notify. And what am I going to tell you? What am I going to notify? Please, I need to put a comma here. That is not how I'm supposed to put that. Say comma. So I'm going to notify. Please update required field. Please update the required fields. Field, right? Come on, why am I writing this way? Fields. Good. So since this is an error, I'm going to throw notify type error. There is a warning, so you can choose warning. Okay, there is an info, so you can choose info. There is info, you can choose info, but I choose error because that is what I want. I want to let the user know that there's an error and they have to fix it. So I close that part, and then after closing that part, else. Okay, submit the form and then do this. So if I want to make my excuse me, if I want to make my expression or my function look beautiful or good, I have to click on this format text, and it will just automatically format it for me. And if you bring this down, you will see how it's arranged, and you can understand what you are doing by reading this. So what is going on here is that I said if any of this is empty or throws an error, tell the user to please update the required field. Else, if they are not empty, go ahead and submit the form, then hide this and display the gallery. It's as simple as that. So if I play this app now and click on the button, I don't know, you'll see the error comes up. Please update the required fields at the top. Okay, and if I put only this one, let's say I call it beans, right? We don't have beans yet. I put only here and then I submit. It will say please update the required field because I've not updated the rest. If I put price is going to be 500 and I submit, it will tell me update the required fields. But if I put quantity, how many plates are available? 4 plates, and submit, now it will allow me to submit. And now it has added beans. Okay, next thing we are going to talk about is how to delete this or how to remove this. That is more like one of the last thing we're going to do before we round off for today, because we have taken a lot more, I think 21 minutes already over the time that we expected to round up. I'm going to close this part and then I'm going to implement a delete inside the gallery. So for me to implement a delete, I will select the first one here and then I will insert trash. Trash is one beautiful icon that helps us to, I'm going to increase this so that it will be a little bit big. Apologies, I didn't do this earlier. I think right now is a little bit bigger than, and this more visible. So I can change the color to red. You can put a condition to who you want to delete something and who you don't want to delete something. So if you want a specific people with a particular user access to delete stuff, you can also do that. If you don't want everybody to delete something, you hide the delete button from them. There is one thing that we should have done is view, but we don't have a lot of time to do that. So maybe next time in our next class, we'll be able to look into that. So all you have to do is just move. When you say remove, the next thing you have to do is provide the source. And what is the data source? The data source is food. And then comma, you say this item. And that should be all. So if I play this up, if I save here and then play this application, and then if I click on delete, that item has been deleted. You see, I deleted the empty one, and that one is gone. If you want to put a condition when you want to delete an icon or an item, all you have to do is when you select the select this, you come here and then hold on a little bit. Copy this, and then at the end of it, I'm going to comment it out. So you can comment code out. If you comment code out, for example, I just put this. Even if I click this till tomorrow, nothing is going to happen because I have commented the expressions out and no actions will be performed when I click it. Okay. So I'm going to select it back, and then here I would either use update context or I'm going to use set variable. Now I have used set variable, I've used update context in my previous expression. I'm going to set a variable, I create a variable, a different aspect or perspective that we can do the same thing that we did in our previous controls. So I'm going to set a variable. I'm going to call this var confirmation, right? Confirm delete. I'm going to set this to true. I close this. And I'm going to say insert. Maybe I'm going to call this a test label. No, this is not what I want. I'll remove this is not what I want. Okay, outside the gallery, please, not inside the gallery. Use insert a test label. The reason is inserted inside was because I selected the gallery. So outside the gallery, I would insert a test label, and I expect this test label to maybe come here and cover this. Now, this is going to be dicey because it's not going to be effective. Now, for this to be effective, I'm going to delete this and I'm going to use a different control. That different control is something that we call the container. So I'm going to introduce a container here. I select a container and then I will use that container to close out, excuse me, I'm going to reduce the size. I'm going to use this container to close out all this area, okay? When I use this container to close out all this area, I would say, let the color be transparent. But even though the color is transparent, I want the opacity of the color to be 5 or 50%. So this way, if I play this app, I cannot click anything, but you can see it. All right, so I will hide this. I select the container and then I will go to the unvisible property and then I will put confirm delete. Confirm delete is currently blank, so it won't work. So if I come here and play this and click on delete, it will come up and I can't do anything again. So inside the container, I'm going to insert the control, which is a test label. And the test label is going to help me to display an information that tells the user that you are about to delete this record. So I'm going to say you are about, okay. This record. There is there's a lot of manipulation that you can do on this. Okay. So once I put this, I'm gonna put it to the middle, and then I'm going to make this maybe 18 so that it will be a little bit big and visible. And I'm going to change the background color of that control to white so that you can see that. And another thing that you want to do is insert a button. So I mentioned inserting a button. I didn't use a button before, but right now I'm going to use a button. And then I'm going to say, this button, I'm going to call it delete. Yes, and then inside the onSelect, remember onSelect, I have a control which I said is remove this item, right? Now this item will no longer be removed, but this is what is going to happen. This item, I'm going to store it somewhere. And then when I click this button, it should be removed. And I'm going to insert another button here, and I'm going to call that button cancel. That button, I'm going to insert it here, and I'm going to call it cancel. Okay, so we have a delete and we have a cancel button. So you can also make the background of this button to be red. Okay, so that of course you understand the one that you're dealing with. What else do we need to do here? I'm not sure. We have 1 minute before I round up, but then we have not finished. That's not a problem. Okay, so first of all, let us do a cancel, and then here we set the same variable again. The variable name is var confirm delete. We're going to set this to false. and close this. So whenever you play this application and then click on the cancel, you no longer want to delete what you want to delete. You've paused it, right? So you select it, you pause it, you select it, you cancel it. So the moment you select this and click on delete, that is when you expect to delete what you want to delete. So let us perform the delete action. To do the delete, we have to take this and say set. I'm going to create another set. And then I'm going to call this var selected. Okay, and then I'm going to call this, first of all, I close this because if I don't close this, this is not going to work. And I'm going to say this item. Now, this can be dicey, it may not work, but of course, usually work. But then there is another thing that you can also try. If this doesn't work, you have to do .id. Okay, but I'm not doing .id now. .id is a secondary thing I'm going to do. Please give me some more minutes, about 3-4 minutes. By 9:35, we should be rounding up. So once I select this, I will take this icon, this item actually, and then I'll come back here. And then when I play this, I expect to have a delete. So when I select the delete button, I would press this, and then I will say var selected .id. We still have a challenge. Hold on one moment. Okay, so incompatible type. Okay, so we have an evaluation issue because of the incompatible type of how this is going to work. And I don't want to go deep into this, but then this is something that we can share on how we can do that, so I don't take a lot of our time. But to avoid, to make sure that we have a delete function, please, I want us to do something. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to come back to this error, cancel this. I think I have set a lot of test item values, and that is the reason why we are having this. So I'm going to take this out. I'm going to do yes, entirely. I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to put this available so that we have our nicely delete button. So we can select any button to delete whatever we want to delete. And then we can add new records, and then we can call this tests, and then we can call this 12, and we can call this 12, and then we submit, and we'll be able to see the details. So we have our almost CRUD application. We don't have a view created, but that is totally fine. Of course, we have seen the basic concept of creating an application using the Power Up Canvas application. And thank you very much for your time. Michael, you have a question, please go ahead before I hand over to Ruki to moderate.
All right. Thank you
Isaac.
so much. All right. Thank you very much, sir. All right. My question is this Power Apps now I think it's actually based on coding. Like, okay, now for someone that doesn't really have an understanding of coding stuff or developing applications, so what, like, is there something else, like is there an alternative that can be done?
Yes, there is an alternative that can be done. The alternative is to simply come here and leverage the data source to create your application. So select your SharePoint list the way I mentioned before. You have a couple of other ways that you can create your application. Select your data source. It will populate everything for you. To populate your view, to populate your screens, to populate your actions, it will populate everything that you need to perform operations in the application. Now, but if you want to develop additional customization, additional manipulations in your application, that is when you need to start doing a lot of coding. Now, to perform the coding that is involved in this application is not quite difficult. If you have the basic understanding of Excel formulas, you should be able to also perform manipulations in Power Apps. And we have Power FX documentation that is publicly available, has been published by Microsoft. You can also leverage that to be able to understand the concept of things that you want to do here. Another thing that you can leverage on is the fact that when you type anything, you'll always get a suggestion. So with the suggestion, you'll be able to also do whatever you want to do in your application.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anyone else have any question? Okay, in that case, Rookie, over to you. My 5 minutes has expired.
Okay, thank you so much, Chetam, for the class. We want to apologize to everybody for the time that it took extra. Well, I'm guessing it's just because he wanted to complete the application and not give us a haphazard application. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much, Chetam, for the class. It was very insightful.